Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, today we're jumping straight into a massive and honestly pretty surprising shift happening right now in the consumer tech world. We are looking closely at how the new Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 8 series managed to pull off something absolutely remarkable. They've captured an unexpectedly huge share of the youth market. Now, historically, foldable phones, they've definitely been viewed as these premium, kind of clunky devices heavily targeted toward older professionals. But with this latest launch, well, the script has been completely flipped. Let's find out how they actually pulled this off. So, the big question driving our explainer today is this. Why is the MZ generation flocking to the new Galaxy Z Fold 8? What exactly is pushing young consumers, who we all know are notoriously loyal to specific brands and ecosystems, to completely obsess over this specific foldable? We're talking about consumers in their teens, 20s, and 30s who are actively changing their buying habits right before our eyes. To really understand this, we've got to look at the hard data. Over 50%. I mean, that is just a bombshell statistic from the pre-order period between July 28 and August 3. More than half of all pre-orders for the new Galaxy Z Fold and Flip 8 series came directly from that 10 to 30 demographic. This isn't just a slight uptick, guys. This is a seismic shift in the user base for a flagship foldable device. It's a real game changer. To decode this phenomenon, here is the roadmap for today's explainer. Number 1, the MZ foldable boom. 2, design, the passport profile. 3, storage, fueling the creators. 4, breaking the iOS barrier. And 5, perks, pricing, and subscriptions.
All right, let's dive into part 1, the MZ foldable boom.
The Z Fold 8, and note this isn't just the more compact flip we're talking about, emerged as the absolute standout favorite model for this younger demographic. And they weren't just buying your standard, boring black or gray. Young consumers gravitated heavily toward aesthetically pleasing lighter colors. Cream actually took the top spot, followed really closely by a Samsung.com exclusive color, pistachio, and then the highly popular lavender. It just goes to show that for the MZ generation, the phone isn't just a utilitarian tool, it's a totally personalized accessory. Moving right along to our second clue. 2, design, the passport profile. Because, let's be real, a great color isn't going to make you carry a heavy, awkward device everywhere you go. Samsung tackled the form factor beautifully here. When folded, the Galaxy Z Fold 8 features a 10:16 screen ratio, which looks and feels remarkably like a passport. It's wide enough to use comfortably as a standard phone without feeling cramped, but then when you unfold it, boom, you get a 4:3 tablet-sized ratio. The crucial point here is that this ratio is practically magic for digital content. It perfectly frames webtoons, YouTube Shorts, and mobile games by completely eliminating those annoying black bars at the top and bottom of the screen. We're talking maximum immersion. But again, an immersive screen is totally useless if the phone feels like a brick in your pocket. Samsung directly addressed the historical clunkiness problem of foldables, bringing the weight down to a record-breaking 201 grams. Folded, it's just 9.7 millimeters thick, and unfolded, an incredibly thin 4.5 millimeters. For a generation that really values everyday carry comfort, making the Fold 8 this incredibly light and portable was absolutely crucial. Let's look at part 3, storage, fueling the creators. We are dealing with a generation that basically lives on camera, right? They're constantly shooting high-res photos and 4K video for social media. To cater to this, Samsung offered an incredibly practical sweetener, the double storage promotion. If you pre-ordered the 256GB model, Samsung automatically upgraded you to 512 gigabytes entirely for free. That is an instant value of 253,000 Korean won handed directly to the consumer, which, let's be honest, is a lifesaver when your camera roll is like 90% 4K videos of your dog or your brunch. Actually, it gets even better for the true power users out there. If you wanted to max out the device to a massive 1 terabyte of storage, you didn't have to pay the usual sky-high premium. By utilizing that double storage promo, buyers only had to pay an additional 310,700 won to jump from the 512 gig tier all the way to 1 terabyte. By effectively having the usual cost barrier for top-tier storage, Samsung directly targeted and solved a major creative pain point for young buyers. All right, section 4, breaking the iOS barrier. So you've got a great design and you've got plenty of storage. But here is the elephant in the room. How do you actually convince a fiercely loyal iPhone user to switch? Well, you make it totally frictionless. With Samsung's Smart Switch feature, there's literally no app to install. Step 1, scan a QR code. Step 2, transfer your data wirelessly. Step 3, enjoy your Galaxy. It's that simple. By removing the technical anxiety of losing your contacts, your photos, or your group chats, Samsung essentially destroyed the primary wall keeping young users from switching brands. And to make sure those users actually felt at home once they made the jump, Samsung bolstered the features that bridge that platform divide. Quick Share acts as a super powerful alternative for file sharing, so MZ users don't feel isolated from their friends. Plus, they heavily integrated Samsung Wallet with youth-focused utilities like Milipass, which is a mobile ID for military personnel in Korea, along with totally seamless American Express overseas payments and travel services. They essentially built a complete ecosystem catering exactly to the lifestyle of someone in their 20s. Which brings us to Section 5, Perks, Pricing, and Subscriptions. Beyond just the phone itself, the pre-order bundle was clearly designed to just overwhelm the buyer with perceived value. It wasn't just a piece of hardware, it was a full-on digital lifestyle package. Buyers got 6 months of Google AI Pro, a 3-month subscription to the Waylaw audiobook service, 11 exclusive game themes, plus some really substantial hardware discounts, like 10% off the new Watch Ultra 2 or Watch 9 and 30% off accessories. When young consumers sat down and actually did the math, the bundle essentially paid for a significant chunk of the device. But, how do they handle the long-term financial burden? Premium foldables are definitely not cheap. Well, to alleviate this, Samsung introduced the new Galaxy AI Subscription Club. If you join, Samsung guarantees up to a 50% residual value when you return the device later. Combine that with a specific Flip Youth subscription tailored for teens and young adults, and suddenly, the barrier to entry for a luxury foldable becomes a totally manageable monthly expense rather than a massive, scary upfront hit to your bank account. Let's look at the actual starting numbers for a second to give you a concrete financial takeaway. The baseline Z Fold 8 starts at 2,278,100 Korean won. The top-tier Z Fold 8 Ultra steps up to 2,577,300 won. And the more compact Z Flip 8 starts at a highly accessible 1,683,000 won. When you take these base prices, and then you subtract the free storage upgrades, the massive pre-order perks, and that guaranteed 50% trade-in value, the financial equation becomes incredibly appealing for the MZ generation. Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. We've seen the hardware innovations, the brilliant passport design, and the tablet screen. We've seen the frictionless software transitions breaking down the iOS wall. And we've seen the aggressive, highly targeted pricing and subscription models. So the ultimate question we have to ask is this. Has Samsung finally cracked the code to win over the MZ generation? Will this precise combination of features permanently shift brand loyalty for the youth market? Or is this just a temporary surge? We'd love to know what you think. Thanks for joining us as we unpack this super fascinating market shift, and we will catch you in the next explainer.